Hello everyone, this video is to show you how to set up a workflow for all of your social publishing. Many of you are coming over from single user tools. Maybe those tools don't allow you to have a workflow, so you've used other techniques and you've gotten used to those. Like one of the things I'm seeing is users are coming over and using the save as draft feature to save a post as a draft. Then their boss will go in and have a look at that draft, and then they'll move it over and post that as a queue. And all of those workflows aren't quite as streamlined as just using the built-in workflow user system that we've built within Socialmonials. So I'm going to go over how to set up a proper workflow, and I hope it'll work for you at your company or agency. So to get to this area, first thing you want to do is go to the drop-down box at the top right and select Manage Users. Click the Add New at the top right to add a user. In the main area, you're going to see any existing users you have. First, enter a username. This is what they're going to use to log into the system. Enter the password twice, and I'm going to give them a fake email address. First and last name. The time zone is very nice. If you have people in other countries that are working for you or other time zones, you can select that here and it will localize all of their settings. So as they're looking at the publisher, their time at the very top here will be changed to their own local time. So you can have people in multiple areas working on your account, and they'll be scheduling things at the correct time. Be sure to check this if they have daylight savings time where they're located. Date format, this is where you would select whatever is local to them. And permissions. So what this allows you to do is disable entire sections of the website that you do not want them to have access to. And it's important to note that only administrators can manage user accounts. And I'll show you how to set up an admin user versus a non-admin user in just a minute. The account owner, which is the account login information you use when you first purchase the software, it doesn't matter if you're an admin or not, that login can always access the user settings. So let's go through the permissions here. At the very top left, you're going to notice that there are all these different menu items here on the left. These menu items will disappear based on the permissions you set for this particular user. So you can have it so when this user logs in, the only thing they see is publishing to social media. So if you hire somebody for the specific purpose of publishing to social media, and that's all they do for your account, you might want to just give them publish permissions and maybe the access reports permissions so they can see how their posts are doing. Another scenario I see quite a bit is you'll have an agency who wants to give a real-time dashboard to their clients. So what you can do in that situation is create a user for that client, but only give them access to the reports and maybe access to the calendar. If you want them to be able to approve the posts that you are publishing, then you would also want to give them permission here. But as you can see, you could really dial in exactly what they have access to. And just click disabled if you want to disable that left navigation item. In the publish area, there are some additional options here. This is where you would create up a nice workflow. First thing you want to do is set up any supervisors with accounts. And the reason for that is when you set up the lower level people who need to have posts held for approval, the way you choose who approves those posts is through a drop down. So if there are no existing users in the system to approve those, you'll have to go back in and select that user later. So it's just better to start with the higher ranking individuals and then add the lower ranking people later. So for this particular individual, we're going to hold the social post for approval, and we're going to have this approved by Jane. You can set it to auto approve after a certain number of minutes if you're a high volume operation. If you're a more sensitive operation where it's very strict and things cannot go out without approval, do not check this box. Down here, this is a newer feature we've added. This user can only view their own posts in these folders. And what this does is, if you have several different people in your company and some of them just don't have the authority to view what other users are doing, then you can restrict their view. So when you check these, this restricts their view to only their own posts. So when they go in the queue, they're only going to see their own posts, not the guy in the seat next to them. If they go to the sent folder, same thing. They're only going to see their own posts. But maybe in the drafts, you want them to be able to see everybody's posts because that's the way you work at your company. So anyway, you can just set this up exactly the way you want for this user. And down here in permitted accounts, this is a really nice feature. This allows you to restrict which accounts, which profiles each user has access to. So if you have two separate people publishing, one is publishing for the more sensitive accounts, and the other one is publishing for less sensitive accounts, or maybe you have it split up by region. This is where you can only give certain region accounts to certain users. This also helps them be productive because they're not bombarded with all these different options when they go to publish to social media. So what I'm going to do is deselect some of these Instagram accounts for this user, and I'm going to deselect all of the YouTube accounts because we don't want them publishing any videos. Once I'm done with this, we can go to access customer information. So certain individuals at your company or agency, you'll want to be able to access customer information. What that means is, if you're running campaigns and people are submitting hundreds of photos and things like that throughout the month, you're going to be gathering quite a bit of data from your end users. And you don't want just anybody at your company or agency to be able to download all that personally identifiable database of information. So make sure that the people that you have enabled are authorized to view personally identifiable customer information. Once you're done with that, I'm going to click Add. So that's been added. Here is the new user in the grid. What I'm going to show you now is how to add an administrator. So click this button and make admin. And when I do that, it's going to put an A here. In the A icon, you can have unlimited administrators. Every single person can be an administrator if you'd like. And what administrative privileges gives them is the ability to go to the top drop down and access things like account preferences, integrations. If you remove that, then they'll lose that permission. And you remove that by going to make admin again and clicking that, and it will remove it. The other one is moderator. You'll notice that this test user has an M. There's only one moderator per account. So when I make moderator, what this will do is allow this person to approve user-generated content as it comes into the system. So if you run a photo contest and people are submitting photos and you're holding those for approval, the system is going to send an email to the moderator and say, hey, here's a new photo, what would you like to do? And they'll be able to approve or delete it right there from their cell phone. It will also go into the approve area, and any administrator can go into the approve area, but the moderator has special permissions because they are going to receive that email in addition to being able to access it here. So it makes it a little more convenient for them to do the approval. That is it. If you have any questions, you can let us know. One advanced feature I want to tell you about, because if you're in a law firm or if you're working for a financially regulated company, I've seen workflows that are multi-level, where you have a lower level user that needs to approve something, or that needs to have something approved by a supervisor, but that even needs to be approved by somebody in legal. When you have that situation, what you would do is, I'm going to jump in here and show you. So you'll recall that we had this approved by Jane. So what we can do, if Jane is the supervisor and Jane actually has an attorney that needs to approve everything that she approves, what you would do is go back. Let's see, so we're going to go back. And I'm going to jump into Jane's account. And even though she's an administrator and she's approving things, you could still hold her posts. So what would happen is you would go to the attorney, Renata, and then you would hold Jane's post. So what will happen is Renata would not see the post until it had already been routed to Jane, and once Jane approves it, then it's going to send an email to Renata as that additional layer of approval and workflow, and then when Renata approves it, then it will actually post to social media. All right, that's everything you need to know about creating and managing users. Thanks a lot.